Aric Dromi here, a futurologist, and he describes himself as a digital philosopher and professional troublemaker. And Ari is here today from Sweden to talk to us about navigating the unknown, a future in a box. Please welcome Aric Dromi. Thank you.
I'm going to ask all of you to stand up. How likely are you to step into an airplane knowing an artificial intelligence is actually flying the plane? And there is no pilot, there is no cockpit, there is only a computer. If you're willing to do it today, please sit down. For those of you who stand up, what if I will tell you that 85% of aviation accidents happen because of this guy? Are you willing to take the plane now with an AI? Sit down. And for those who stand up, from 2030 you will not have any other chance by taking the boat. Because that's the promise of most airlines on the market, to shift us from human pilots to AI pilots. And it's very interesting, you know, in 94, 95, both Time Magazine and Newsweek wrote a fantastic, brilliant articles about this new thing called the internet and how much it's one big bullshit and it will never succeed and it's not designed to commerce. And 3 weeks ago, the Canadian government invested almost $1 billion Canadian dollars making sure that everyone in Canada has internet access. Internet is a commodity. And it's an amazing thing to see what the internet has done to our life. How much it actually changed the way we perceive reality. And the figures from 2016, you know, every minute of internet, right, it's equal to 70,000 hours of Netflix. How many phone calls we are making, how many social interactions we are making in one internet minute. And it's made us rethink our existence, our humanity. And it's very interesting when we're talking about, you know, specifically when we're talking about music. When Thomas Edison introduced his phonograph, I don't know if you know his story, but in his mind, phonograph was meant to use as a religious sermon type of device. So imagine that you're spending, like, you know, 8 hours at work, you had like a fantastic shitty day, you go home and you have a religious preacher shouting at you for 20 minutes. That was the intention to start with. But what do we do as humankind with every technology that we are getting? We are repurposing it. We're reusing it, we're reinventing it. And specifically in the music industry, from the Winamp to Beatronet, and then YouTube. One of YouTube's biggest contributions for culture was the evolution of dance. Because we can learn for people that we will never meet on the street. And for everything we did, it pushed us further and further. And talking about repurposing, everyone is talking about the Y generations, and I'm surprised that companies still build products for the Y generations. They're 30 years old, move along. They don't count anymore. It's the Z generations that starts to count. And then we start to dive into the Z generation. You see how they repurpose things. How many of you heard about the concept Finstagram? How many of you have kids, teenagers? I have 4 kids, so 2 of them are teenagers. Finstagram. We're building fake Instagram accounts to let our parents follow it while we're actually posting the real pictures in another account. Fuber, right? There are Facebook groups all around the United States today. Facebook groups that for $1 you can get designated drivers, you can get ride in and out of campus. Because it's students that cannot afford to pay for Uber, so they're using Fuber, right? The last one is the most interesting one. It's a payment system that you can actually share payment, but it became a social network because you can leave comments. And the Z generation, there are girls in the US that are actually using that platform. They're spending 10 cents to send a message to another friend, I miss you, and then the friend is spending 10 cents to pay back, says, I miss you too. So it's the first time that we see that people are actually willing to pay for social interactions. And this thing shifted us from wanting to own things to actually wanted to pay for things. These are my kids. Last time I was able to take their pictures together. And they will never own music. They will never own videos. They will never own books. They will access it. And as much as I thought, you know, the toys is on highlight there because I thought I have a business case because I buy something from the kids 4 hours after it's in the corner of the room. No one is using it anymore. If you have kids, you know what I mean. And then, like, you know, when I thought it's a business case, Amazon introduced chemistry kits that enable my kids to blow shit up. Which, $20 per month, you subscribe, you get the chemistry kit, you use it, the month after you get another one. So we are not really in the realm of owning products anymore, we are more accessing products. And it took us 350 years from the minute Galileo enabled us to observe the sky until we were actually able to put a man between the stars. But it took us only 15 years from the invention of the MRI until we were able to connect our brain to a computer. And that experience was 2 months ago in Germany, where the completely paralyzed patient was connected to an EEG machine, and they transferred her thought patterns into the sentence, "I want to live, don't disconnect me." And one of the analysts for Anderson Horowitz in Silicon Valley often says, "I've downloaded and installed an app on my smartphone." Right? Everyone understands this sentence in this room. But 5 years from now, every single word of that sentence is questionable, because, except the word "I", of course, because what is download? What is an install? What is an app? I often talk to companies that are still developing in 2017 their app strategy. Why? Everything is going to shift, and it's shifting so fast. Unfortunately, we still live in this infrastructure that we call it cities. UK was in the news the last 24 hours a lot. And I don't know if you know about Sir Joseph Williams. He's the guy that designed the sewage system of London. Not a glory job, but he saved London as we know it, because he insisted for the sewage pipes to have 5 or 6 times the capacity originally intended. Luckily he did it, otherwise London would have been drowning in shit. Because if you think about it, he had the foresight of understanding how many people are actually going to move into the cities. But the infrastructure that we live in, right, is outdated. Now, we talk about space, and then one of the vehicles we actually place a man in is a space shuttle. And this fantastically engineered vehicle was calculated on the distance between the boosters. And the distance between the boosters was calculated, you know, around the size of the tunnel that led the boosters to the launch pad. And the tunnel was built around 2 rail tracks, and it's the same tracks that we brought all the way from, you know, from Europe so many years ago. And where did the British engineers place the tracks? They didn't pave new roads. They just followed the Romans, where the Romans used to go with horse and carriage. And the distance of the road was exactly the distance between the 2 wheels of the carriage, which is the distance between 2 horses' asses. And every city is designed around the distance between 2 horses' asses. Because 75% of your city is roads and parking lots. And guess what? Every lane is the distance between 2 horses' asses. Take every chassis of a car today, it's that distance. And I ask the questions, how do we scale that into a digital age if our perceptions, if our architecture is based on that? And I often say that we are led by blind people who are blind to our blindness. It's these thought fixations and paper-based politics that most often prevent us of moving to the next stage. My daughter, 15 years old, she has her first boyfriend. She met him on a dating app called Yellow, which is a Snapchat. You know, when I was 15, I never thought to go on a dating site. And it's these lines of code that redefine who we are today and how we are standing in front of the world. We do have autonomous driving cars on the road today. And we see automations kicking in a lot of aspects of our life. And we see this revolutionary breakthrough that for the first time in history enable us to bypass evolution. And it starts as a DARPA project to enable soldiers that lost their limbs to go back to normal life. And through this development, we figure out that, hey, graphene and D2 and other magic materials can actually act better than our bones and cells. And this arm belongs to a soldier that actually can feel through nerve connections his daughter's arm. And we are slowly able to upgrade our bodies. Google, I love this picture, it's one of their coolest implementation of DeepMind. The ability of a camera to read lips, and it's doing it so much better than any other human. And it's this variety of fields that traditionally companies thought belong in pharmaceuticals or in financial dungeons. But it makes you wonder, what does it mean to be a human when an algorithm is taking the decisions for you? And we're saying, no, algorithm doesn't take the decision for me. Every time you get notifications on your phone, it's an algorithm that creates a white noise that takes your attention from what you're doing. Every time. And what happened next? If an algorithm is recommending me books and it's doing a one hell of a job, would I let it to continue to choose books for me? Of course, I've done it for the past 3 years. And then it starts, because it knows what I buy for my kids, and it knows my kid's birthday, and it's telling me, hey, should you buy this one for your son for his birthday? Absolutely. And then the question is, do you want me to choose your present every year and send it? Yes. And then it asks me, do you want to book a restaurant? Yeah, you have a good choice. How much am I willing to let an algorithm to actually go on my life? And the question is what happened to us as human beings, right? I remember as a kid, I was forced to go to the libraries and read like newspapers. And from the libraries, we went to Yellow Pages, to 144, and everything became Google today. In the tip of our fingers. We don't remember things, right? We are outsourcing a lot of our cognitive functions to clouds around us. How many of you actually remember phone numbers? Calendar entries. They did the research, they found out that the part of our brain that's responsible for orientation has shrunk since GPS was introduced to the mass market. And we are outsourcing more and more of these cognitive functions to the cloud. Me and my wife, we needed to fill in some form by hand. I couldn't read my handwriting. I haven't held a pen for so many years. My kids doesn't know how to write. Because every single lesson they do as a homework, they do it on a computer. And in Finland, they completely canceled handwriting classes. They're introducing to typing classes. And then everyone is talking about this wonderful thing, AI. AI, the greatest invention of humanity. Let's be honest, the first AI algorithm was actually written by Aristotle, which is the deductive reasoning system. That's how AI, machine learning, is built on. And Talos was one of the first, AI heroes in our history. So it's not a new thing. We always strive to develop something bigger, stronger, better than us. And when I look about, when I try to understand what is the next thing that is going to happen, who are we going to sell mobile phones when every single person on the planet actually have a mobile phone? Because in 2015 or 14, 300 million laptops were sold, personal computers were sold, by 2.6 billion mobile devices. And when everyone has a mobile device, what do you sell then? And then you see this type of projects of this robot that you can actually implant in your brain, and it's enable you to control a prosthetic limb with your thoughts. But it's also connected to the internet. And adds to what Elon Musk is doing, and you understand what is the next platform. It's not about software and hardware. It's about wetware. It's about the ability of using our brain as an algorithm within reality. And we are surrounded by screens. But our brain are capable of capturing 11 million bits of sensory information from the environment every second. Our aware mind is able to process only 40 bits. So we are not, we're not big data machines, we are very small data, contextual, intentional machines. The average age of putting a toddler in front of a screen today is 4 months old. 6 years ago it was 4 years old. 4 months. And it's throwing us off the curve. Because we lost this ability to focus for a long time. And I encourage people, to challenge. I listen to some friends of mine that went into some places in the US and putting porn sites on fridges. Why do you need a 17-inch screen on a fridge? Does it make the cooling system better? What, you can make grocery lists? You can read your emails? Does my fridge need a Twitter? Seriously, right? And everyone is saying like, oh, yeah, of course, we are going to be saved by VR. My mom told me, I remember that so clear, don't sit too close to the TV. Look at me now. Right? That will be the savior of humanity. Every single science fiction book, movie, literature, written prior to the 50s, were magnificent, or holistic, or amazing. And then in '83, we got computation power. Oh, let's stop thinking. Let's just design solutions. Going back to my kids, all of my kids got an iPad from school. And the school says, like, I went to the school, to the teacher says, no, you gave them an iPad. Then what? What do you mean? Is it not enough? We're advanced schools. We gave the kids an iPad. Did you have an iPad as a kid? No, but why did you give them an iPad? Because now they can access all of the Google books projects. They can access all of the books Google ever scanned. But we are still reading, in the same way Aristotle read, on average 2 pages a minute. Thank you for giving them access to all of the books, but do you teach them curiosity? Do you teach them which book they should actually read and which specific time? And I'm starting to think it's not about artificial intelligence because it's a technology, but maybe the ability for us to use artificial intelligence to make us better humans is the application. It's not an external entity. It's something that enables me to become better at whatever task I do. It's something that enables to my kids to scan all of the books and find the right context for the right assignment that they're actually working on. And it's this merge between brain, AI, and VR that will enable us to move forward as a society. And we have 7 million people in the world, and we know what they do today. But the question is, what do we do with 7 million people down the road when automation kicks in? So it's not just about autonomous driving cars, it's about automating everything. And we need to start thinking about how do we repurpose our brain in the age that robots can actually do the day-to-day tasks that we do today. She 3D printed her robot, it's a machine learning, and they're engaged. So we have 7 million people in the world, and now we're 3D printing robots to add to society. And robots can pay taxes, but how do we deal with that? And this is things that are actually happening right now. Thank you.